Go. Hello, Blues fans. We're back with another MonBlues podcast. This week we're joined by Murray Douglas and Jamie Moffat. So, Jamie, we'll start with you. Would you just be able to give us a wee Wikipedia about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Kirkcaldy Rugby Club in 2000 when I was in primary 7. Played all my youth rugby at Kirkcaldy and then moved into senior rugby. Had a year away when I was at university playing for Dundee High. Came back to the club for a season and then spent a season travelling in New Zealand and played a season out there, and then came back and sort of finished up playing in 2019. So just last year at the club. So was fortunate to play quite a number of games for both the first and the seconds, and yeah, enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, and then Murray, could you do the same? Just a wee Wikipedia.
Born and bred in Kirkcaldy. Played all my youth rugby at Kirkcaldy, and then when I left school, I went up to Aberdeen and played with Aberdeen Grammar for about 6 years. Leaving uni, went to Heriots for a year, played there, and then 2014 went to Australia and have been over here for about 4.5 years in total, and been playing with the Rebels. Currently at the Brumbies. Was in New Zealand for about a year and a half, with playing with the Hurricanes for a season, and also played a couple of years of Mitre 10 rugby with Northland as well. So Jamie's definitely got a few more Blues caps than I do. I think I only managed to play possibly 2 games for the first before I went off to uni. But yeah, I mean, I've always had a close affiliation with Kirkcaldy Rugby. I've always kind of, when I was back from uni, I would always do my pre-season training there, and I have a lot of mates that have played there and still currently play there. So as I say, great community club, and it's a club I've always kind of looked to drop in when I've been back home.
Yeah, and then how did you two get to know each other? Was it through rugby, or did you know each other before rugby?
No, just through rugby. We were in the same team. I think Murray had been at the club a lot longer than I had, and we just sort of ended up in the same team. We were both at Balwearie High School together, and just sort of formed a friendship through there. I think through our youth team, we kind of had the same group of maybe about 20-25 guys from sort of first year at high school until certainly into sort of fifth and sixth year. So yeah, we're quite a tight knit group of mates. So yeah, I guess that's how we kind of met, and our friendships stayed since then.
Yeah, and then Murray, so you're with Brumbies just now. So have you started getting back towards playing rugby, or do you think you're still a bit of time off?
We started training about 4 weeks ago in small groups of about 10, I think, at the time, and that was non-contact training. We're just doing a lot of fitness and a lot of skills in the gym quite a bit as well. And then I think last week was the first week of full team contact training. So we're essentially just doing like a sort of mini pre-season at the minute. I think we've got another 3 or 4 weeks of that sort of pre-season until our first game scheduled, which I think should hopefully be round about the first weekend in July. So kind of fingers crossed we're not too far away now from getting back to playing rugby, because it's been I think mid-March since my last game. So it's been quite a while.
Yeah, and then Jamie, so since you retired from rugby, you've taken up triathlons.
Temporarily retired. Get back playing, like if as director of rugby, if I'm going to do it, be back playing.
So you started triathlons. How was that going before the pandemic?
Yeah, it was going pretty good. Managed to sort of complete a full season of triathlons. So I think I managed about 6 or 7 in my first year. So it's pretty good. Joined a local club as well, and sort of had 2020 all mapped out, all my events booked in my calendar and whatnot, and then like everyone else, we've kind of been heavily affected by what's kind of happening at the moment. But yeah, still apart from the open water swimming, which I guess I can kind of pick up now. Just been kind of trying to get out on the bike and do some runs and doing a bit of conditioning work to try and keep the fitness ticking over.
Yeah, that sounds good. And one of the other things, Jamie, that's got you back involved with the club has been the Changing Lives programme. And I wonder if you could give a wee bit of an insight into what it's going to be doing and what your role is in it.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, there's a programme, I guess, through Sports Scotland and other partners of Sports Scotland kind of sit above all your sports governing bodies in the country, kind of administering sport really. And yeah, they've got a programme called Changing Lives. So it's I guess the conscious effort that sport can change people's lives. There's clubs that I work with who kind of do it without really knowing it, and I guess Kirkcaldy Rugby Club's one of them. So I get the programme is probably bringing someone like myself at a local level, along with kind of national partners along, providing the club with a bit of guidance to help shape their ideas. So I mean, some of the stuff that the club's doing is, you know, by far and above, you know, so good when you compare it to other clubs at this moment in time. You know, the club's really thriving. It's, you know, it's getting out in the community. It's probably using its presence in the community as well to get people engaged, get people involved in sport, even if they don't have a love for rugby. They're sort of using the sort of community element of it. So yeah, I'm really excited. We're very much in the early stages of the programme. It's probably going to take sort of 12 to 18 months to not necessarily complete the programme, but you know, that support will be there. So yeah, really looking forward to what the future holds for the club.
Yeah, and then Murray, in last year during the World Cup, you were back over in Scotland, played for Edinburgh. How did you enjoy your time being back over in Scotland, and how was the experience playing for Edinburgh?
Yeah, it was good, mate. You know, had the opportunity to come back during the World Cup there, just on a short-term deal, just between Super Rugby seasons. So yeah, it was good. You know, it was the first time in about 5 years that I'd had the opportunity to kind of come back for any length of time. So yeah, it just worked out really well. And yeah, you know, it was a really good experience. Really good bunch of guys at the club. You know, the coaches were, you know, I was kind of quite attracted by the idea of getting to be coached by Richard Cockrell, because you kind of, you know, he's sort of a tight five specialist, if you like, and you know, got the chance to sort of learn a few things from him. So yeah, it was good, mate. You know, we had quite a long pre-season with Edinburgh. Actually, we didn't start until the end of September, and then I think I played the first 4 or 5 games of the season, and then ended up picking up a neck injury, so missed the last 4 games that I was there, which was a bit disappointing. But that was really good. It was the first time I've played in a sort of Scottish winter in quite a while, and it was a bit of getting used to it again, like going out to train in like 1 or 2 degrees. You know, it's certainly not something you have to worry about too much in Australia. But yeah, it was good, mate. As I say, really enjoyed it. It was really good back. Just you know, being back and seeing everyone, and yeah, good fun.
Yeah, and your way that you've worked up to pro rugby has been a different kind of way from what most people would expect. And I wonder if you could just give us some advice for some of the wee blues that have came up, how you've worked your way up to being a pro rugby player playing for multiple teams.
Yeah, I think I've been quite fortunate. The way it sort of came about wasn't, you know, it wasn't as if I'd sort of deliberately set out to become a professional rugby player. Really, I mean, I didn't really see anything happening in Scotland with myself in regards to professional rugby, and decided in 2014 to go out to Australia and do a bit of travelling, and settled in Melbourne, and just sort of played club rugby down there, and through that ended up getting invited into essentially a Melbourne Rebels pre-season in 2016. that was. And yeah, as I say, I just kind of lucky in a certain way. You know, there was a few injuries in the team in my position that year, and they needed cover. So I ended up getting a contract for the 2017 Super Rugby season. I know that first season for me, it didn't really work out that well. Like I ended up, I think I was only fit for like 4 or 5 games. I had to get a couple of surgeries that year on my hand and on my foot. So I didn't play much, and didn't get my contract renewed. Then had to go over to New Zealand. You know, picked up a Mitre 10 contract over there. So as I say, mate, you know, it was kind of just those things of being in the right place at the right time, I think. And you know, there's lots of guys out there that you know, they might not being assistant from a young age. They might not make a Scotland under-20s. They might not, you know, be on the academy radars or anything like that. But you know, if you stick at it and your opportunity comes along and you take it, then you know, you can pick up a professional contract later on. You know, I was 26, I think, when I first signed with the Rebels. So yeah, you know, hopefully a few guys that we miss out at an early age can get something later on in their career.
Yeah, and then Jamie, so you've done a bit of travelling as well. I wonder if you could just tell us a bit about that you did and how it helped you.
Yeah, I guess being involved in rugby from a young age, New Zealand's always somewhere that kind of attracts someone who's a fan of rugby and plays rugby. So I guess coming through high school and through university, it'd always been a kind of goal of mine to go out there. So yeah, I managed to save up a little bit of money and sort of spoke to Quinny, someone who's sort of from there, asked him for a bit of advice as to where he would recommend going. Sort of spoke about the North Island being quite good, so emailed a few clubs in Wellington. At the time, I'd just finished my studies, so I had my sports development degree behind me, a few coaching badges through rugby as well. So I was quite keen, obviously, to play rugby, to see the country, but also to get some work experience when I was to come back to Scotland, to kind of have that on the CV. So got sort of feedback from a club out there, Western Suburbs Club. So they were quite happy to obviously for me to join the club, but also to offer me some kind of work experience. So they had not necessarily a rugby development officer, they had what they called a coach coordinator. So he just basically made sure that all the coaching was of a standard that you know, the Wellington Rugby Union and New Zealand Rugby Union were kind of happy with, and making sure everyone had the qualifications, etc. Getting a good word out about rugby as well. So I kind of shadowed the guy who was doing that, and he was doing a bit of video analysis work for the Hurricanes, and then he actually managed to get a gig with the Samoa under-20s at the Rugby World Cup. So he went across to South Africa for a couple of months. So it was really down to me to kind of take on the job after only being really there a couple of months, which was quite daunting. So yeah, that was a really good experience. And then yeah, when I was out there, Muzz came out for a few months as well, which was pretty cool. So he went to another club. We never got the opportunity to play against each other. Michael was maybe not so good as this one that he was at. So yeah, but it was pretty cool to, let's say, catch up with him, and we did a wee bit of travelling around the country as well, which was really good. So yeah, I guess if anyone's got the chance to go out to New Zealand, I know some other guys from the club have done so and have played out there. They definitely do it. I think I guess the main learning for me going out there is just, you know, the culture out there is so different from here, as most people would probably expect that. You know, rugby's a way of life out there, but I think just from a playing side of things, the kind of skill level across the board is totally different from Scotland. I think, and especially in the backs, you get guys with good hands and good ability, but across the board, I mean, you've got props out there that have probably got a better pass than some backs and the Kirkcaldy first 15, without being too disrespectful. But you know,
is that why someone don't pass it then?
Well, I think because they just, you know, rugby, like I say, is just a way of life out there. Everyone's picking up rugby balls, everyone's passing, everyone's practice. So you know, skill level is massive out there. So So yeah, I guess that was one thing that I learned out there. So yeah, a great experience for me, and it kind of stood me in good stead when I came back here and started applying for jobs. To have that on the CV and working out there has been pretty helpful.
Yeah, and then so both of you are very fit players. Jamie, you were obviously one of the fittest players when you were playing at the club. So Murray, what is the kind of fitness that you do for being a pro rugby player? Does it change on what club you go to, the kind of basic stuff that you do, or is it mainly the same?
I think it's all pretty similar. It's all that sort of S&C stuff is looked after by those specialist coaches, and there's a lot of sports science and stuff like that just now. So it is all very similar. Like you're I think in pre-season you're probably clocking up about sort of maybe 20 to 30 Ks running wise a week. Pre-season as well, you probably have about 4 to 5 gym sessions a week. So yeah, just a lot of running, especially my position. It's a lot of short, high intensity meters, a lot of down and ups, try to get off the ground, just really replicating what you would do on the field. And then yeah, just a lot of gym stuff as well, a lot of powerlifting as well with that. But yeah, mate, I mean, I've the hardest part I reckon is trying to do it in the heat over here in pre-season. That's one thing I really struggle with. We were up in Newcastle this year for a pre-season camp in January, and it was like 37, 38 degrees for like a week, which is really difficult. And I'm not really built for that type of weather. So I'm not a very big guy anyway. Naturally, I'm quite a sort of skinny guy. So I really struggled during pre-season to try and keep the weight on, and the S&C coaches always wanted me to try and lift a bit more and eat a bit more. But yeah, it's pretty difficult, mate. But once you get into the hang of it, once you get into the groove, it's pretty straightforward.
Mars, are you saying that Kirkcaldy and Aberdeen didn't acclimatise you then for Australia? No.
Well, to be fair, it's actually getting quite cold now. Like it's sort of kind of like 1-1, but it's just every year. I've done it about 3 or 4 pre-seasons now over here, and yeah, you just can't get used to it. It's just very, very difficult.
I get a lot of referees coming across, and we're speaking to one on Friday, I think it was, wasn't and they're saying, one boy phoned me, so I'm coming across to a game, what's the temperature? And I went, 37. But obviously I was talking Fahrenheit, and he was talking Celsius. Right. So when he came across, I got a bit of a, oh yeah! Has anybody got the underarm? And he was wrapped up to it.
And then Corgi, I'll pass over to you.
Oh, the bag. The bag's nearly went round the world now, and I think this is its debut in Australia. I'm sure you've heard about it, Muzz. It's going around the world, it's famous now. So you've got a rugby club badge, Corgi George there underneath. Player cards, right, Mr. Douglas. You never know. Before you finish, get us in here. So I've got a few objects in the bag that I'm looking to bring out, and all I want you to do, I just stick my hand and I pull anything out. Just shout out the first name that you think of when I pull the object out. Now it could be Kirkcaldy. It could be somewhere in Australia, New Zealand. It could be up in Aberdeen, Edinburgh. We're quite happy, Muzz, anywhere, absolutely. And Jamie, just people so you know a lot of our oppositions and that we play against as well. So first one is the obvious one. So the red card. Who was the red card monster that you played alongside or against?
Probably a guy that Jamie and I played with growing up called Callum Jenkins.
I've never heard of him.
Jinx is old man Gordy. I think he does a fair bit with the Zingari, or he used to anyway. I'm not sure he does now, but we played with this guy, Callum Jenkins, Jinx, and I think one season in particular, Jamie must have got about half a dozen cards or something like that.
What was wrong with him, like?
Oh, he just loved the fight. I think he was in the.
He was basically Conor McGregor with a couple of these.
Street fighter. I thought that was Jimmy Bonner's nickname, but there you go.
He used to get sent off a fair bit. and his dad was the coach, which made it pretty difficult as well. So.
That's going to be harsh for the dad. Oh no, here we go again.
It was more often than not the referee's fault.
Oh, absolutely. You know what referees are like, Jimmy. They just destroy the game. Stop this from playing. Very good. Oh, well, that's a new one on me. It's the first time I don't think anybody said Greg Wallace to me, but there you go. So that's fine. Right, the next thing at the bag then is obviously, I know we've talked about a wee bit injury there, Muzz, but who's the tape person? Who wraps themselves up? Who spends all their time on the physio table? Who can't seem to get through a whole training session without lazing about? Take yourselves at this, obviously. Two engines that you've got on you. So
I'm getting on a bit now. So
I read something that you were a veteran. You were brought into that team, for your experience.
Yeah, exactly. Who's on the physio table? There's a guy that plays for the Brumbies called Lockie McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And he's always having a wee sort of tinker with the chassis on the physio bed, just to get himself right.
I thought last year, obviously, Pocock might have been, because obviously he must have run himself in the ground now,
Yeah. I think he did. Do a fair amount of damage when he's on the pitch, but I think at the minute probably Lockie's the guy that's kind of always in seeing the physios and stuff like that, getting himself right for training. Yeah.
And Jamie,
I'd say from a Kirkcaldy side, I'd probably say when he played Liam Nielsen.
All right.
Especially on a Saturday when he was the captain, we'd be out trying to do a warm up, and obviously the referee's trying to do the coin toss, and we're looking for some inspiration from our leader, and he's still on the physio bed getting
wrapped up like a mummy.
Yeah.
You know Liam as well, then, Muzz, were you? Liam? Great lad. Career cut short, unfortunately, with injury, which is hellish.
Oh, yeah. What did Liam end up doing?
He had a really bad leg break playing in a tackle, I think it was, and it's quite strange. We don't have the luxury of videos too much, or film cameras at our games, where this one was on video, and you'll know the pitch, so the camera was in the stand. Now, we had no mics and that sort of stuff, and it was right across the diagonal corner down towards the entrance of Beveridge Park, and you could hear him screaming from the pitch side. It was a beauty. I can't remember if it was a really bad dislocation or a break, or maybe a bit of both. It was something else. He's back. No, he's back doing 5Ks and cycling an awful lot. He's worked really hard on his rehab. And again, guys, I'm hoping, for the youngsters watching this, you would encourage folk to do the rehab properly. Is that as big a thing as the treatment?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Cool. Excellent. All right, the next one then. This is quite a popular one normally. So I've got a mobile phone. So who's always on the social media? Who's never off their phone? We've had a couple of beauties. I don't know if you know Blair Kinghorn was mentioned. He's now 10 hours a day. Apparently he's on his phone. So who's the phone monster that you know?
It's quite a tough one. So I suppose everyone kind of is always. A lot of guys are on their phone heaps. Jeez.
Jamie, you better know somebody from Kirkcaldy as well, though.
Yeah, I'd probably say Finlay Smith. He loves a wee Instagram story of his many kicking sessions.
Oh, his goal kicking, yeah, it's beautiful. And his hair at the moment.
Beers in the park and stuff like that.
Aye, and his hairdo at the moment. I know I've got a bit of a COVID cut, but his is a bit floppy at the moment. I'm not. It's getting cool me over if he doesn't watch.
Yeah, so I'd say Finn.
I reckon over here, like there's heaps of the younger lads that are always kind of on social media and TikTok and stuff like that. Our young fly half Noah Lalesio.
Yeah.
He's on a fair bit. But yeah, mate, it's just everyone's kind of always seems to be using the phone. So probably difficult to try and single out an individual, to be honest.
Yeah. Is Laurie Baines a social media beast? Because he certainly doesn't look like one.
Laurie Fisher, the coach.
Laurie Baines.
Nah, I don't think Lord's pretty old school. He's Nah, it doesn't strike me as an Instagrammer.
It's mad. A few of those hairdos on Instagram would have been really smart to see. Sorry, Laurie Mains. Right, I'm going to do something for the first time ever here. This is brand new to the MonBlues podcast. I'm going to share the screen with you guys because I had something that I couldn't actually get in my bag. It was that big. I couldn't get in my bag, but I thought it would be appropriate. Well, let me share the screen with you. Okay, I'm going to share the screen, and you can tell me if this means anything to you at all. It's a Zimmer.
That's you, Muzz.
It is you, Muzz. It is you, Muzz.
My old man, to be known as Zimmer. I think that's because he was playing rugby at like 48 or something like that, and needed a Zimmer frame to get around the park.
I remember getting introduced to him way back in maybe the late 70s, early 80s when we were playing against each other. Never played in the same team as your dad. Played against him when he played at the Howe. He was vice captain at the time and then went to Kirkcaldy, or maybe captain. He was captain of the Howe for a season, I think, wasn't he? And I got, that's Zimmer. And I thought, holy Christ. Because I went up the same as a lot of guys do. I went up to the Howe when I was about 17 to play in their first. And your dad was playing a real character, and there were some real characters in the team at that time. Bloody hell, Ewan Robertson, Colin Graham, and the Thursday night consisted of training was 200 scrums against a scrumming machine, and the backs we could go and make daisy change if we wanted, because you wouldn't get the ball on a Saturday anyway. You know, it was, but Zimmer was a legend and that sort of stuff. And a few pints with him. Is he doing well? I haven't seen him for a long, long time.
Yeah, no, he's going alright. Yeah, spoke to him a fair bit over the last few weeks because he's not been able to do too much himself during lockdown and stuff. But yeah, he's doing alright, mate. He's still up in Inverness.
Yeah,
still kind of just working away and stuff like that.
Doesn't
have any involvement in the sort of rugby these days, other than just sort of being a supporter and a fan.
He certainly did his bit. You know, he must have played for a good 25 years. I must have played just a bit alongside him or against him quite a lot. You know, and it was quite strange. It was something on social media. I don't know if it was on whose it was on, but all his sevens medals and stuff like that. You know, an array of medals from the Midlands district over the years at both Howe and Kirkcaldy, and he had this unusual knack of getting in the road. And if you can get that knack from him, I don't know how he did it, you know, because I played at Glenrothes, and we played Howe and Kirkcaldy every year. And at one time we were the third ranked team in that. We got up to the second. We used to be able to beat Howe. We were closing in Kirkcaldy. I never actually beat him at 15s, but we used to do we had some classy fast back moves and that sort of stuff. Lots of cuts, lots of switches. Sort of double dummy scissors, and then somebody coming back, the world class call with the fullback and the outside centre dummy and switch with 12 drifting out and options all over the place. We used to do all these moves, and a lot of the time, because I was the biggest centre that they had in Glenrothes, I would take the crash, and no matter what, I would get past. You had Andy Henderson and Gordon Hannah and all these guys who went on to great stuff. Willie Anderson went on to great stuff, and they were bamboozled by it, and I always end up going right into your dad. Because you would just go out of a ruck and stand there, and you would be, how the hell did you appear there? And this bloody moustache and dark hair, and guys, man. So whilst I had a lot of time for him, I couldn't be arsed on a rugby pitch. He just got in my road 80 minutes at a time. It was just genius to watch him. He was either very, very clever or very, very lucky. I don't know. So if you can grab a slice of that when you're playing, mate, you're doing all right. Finally, out the bag then, something we're doing at the moment. Hopefully it goes ahead. Next year, the British Lions should be going to South Africa, saying it's my 29th wedding anniversary today. As we speak. Thanks, mate. I was hoping for a wee cup of coffee or something made for me this morning, but it seems to be my turn. Teresa and I hope to go across next year. The beautiful Mrs. Corgi and I are talking about going to South Africa, doing some safari, watching some rugby, getting some braai stuff and that I've done. But we're interested in what you guys think. So, we'd like to maybe think of, I don't know how much British rugby you get to watch, Muzz, but I'm interested in some youngsters coming through the ranks who you think could maybe get onto the plane going to South Africa next year that maybe aren't the big names. You know, we've got your Stuart Hoggs and your Alan Jones and Mario Atojes and that sort of stuff. Is there some sort of outside bet that you guys think would maybe go to South Africa next year? Be interesting. It would be nice to see if it was Scottish, especially. Maybe somebody you met at Edinburgh.
Well, one guy I was kind of thinking I put against them when I was at Edinburgh there was James Lowe.
Okay.
So the winger at Leinster, I'm quite sure he's originally from New Zealand, but
he qualifies. He qualifies this summer.
So I think provided the Six Nations manages to get played and he manages to get in the squad, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a sort of outside bet. Himself in the plane. Probably can play right across the back three, and he's obviously kind of well established himself there over in Europe now. But I remember playing against him across in Dublin back in October, and I think he maybe scored 2 or 3 against us that night and set up another 2. Is
it just me, or is he just very unassuming looking and that sort of stuff? The way he plays, very much like a New Zealand winger. It doesn't look like they're actually going at the speed they're going. The centre of gravity is quite low, and the power in that,
Yeah, and can get through half a gap and then offload it as well. So, if he manages to get himself in the Ireland squad and play in a few games, I wouldn't be surprised if he managed to get on the plane over.
That's a big call. I've never heard that name. We've asked a lot of people now, Murray, and that's the first time I heard his name bounce about. That's a good one. Oh well, we'll look out for that. Obviously, Warren Gatton watches this, so he'll probably be looking for his cell number now. Jamie, what about yourself? You got somebody that you could maybe
maybe got a couple of names. One from your neck of the woods, Corgi. Wales, not Glenrothes.
Yeah.
The young winger at Gloucester, Rhys Zammit.
Oh, there is something. I didn't realise there was something. There was something on, and it must be true because it was on Facebook. There was something on Facebook saying he's actually faster than Johnny May. Wow. It's 100 metre times quicker than Johnny May's, but it's only 0.2 of a second, so he's 10.4 to Johnny May's 10.6 or something like that. It's still behind Murray Douglas at 9.99 still, Muzz, is it?
So I guess like what Muzz was saying about James Lowe, if Six Nations goes ahead and he can get a bit of game time, then he'd be definitely in with a shout. And I think from a Scotland perspective, Rory Hutchinson, the centre.
Yeah,
from Northampton. I thought he was maybe quite unlucky. The lack of game time he's had recently for Scotland, but certainly someone like on the hard, fast ground in South Africa would be really well.
And I think that's one of the things to take into consideration is the conditions are going to be there. Murray, you'll probably appreciate the conditions more than we will, but we probably call games off because of the pitches that they're going to be playing on. They're going to be that hard, but it'll suit. And a few names that have bounced off, where George Horn's name came up a couple of weeks ago as well, to say that he would suit that sort of surface on the hard grounds, just going at pace. Imagine bringing him on with 15, 20 minutes to go if somebody's a bit tired at altitude and that sort of stuff. I think he could do some real damage, and nice for another Fife name to get in there somewhere. That'd be good. Yeah. But so you're not far away then, Muzz. If they're needing you, you're just a hop, skip, and a jump across the water.
I think that have to be about 100-second rows go down.
Not at all.
I'll up, mate.
Yeah. What I'll maybe do, I'll have a word. I've still got contacts down in Wales. I can get you a Welsh cap or something like that. Get you in. Guys, that's the bag. Thanks very much for that. Some great answers there. Really enjoyed that. Thank you very much. What we'll do now, I'll hand you back to young Mr. Oliver. He's going to round it off and take it home, hopefully.
Yeah, so just one of the last points. So for both of you, if there was one thing you could change about rugby, whether it's in Australia for you, Murray, or whether it's in Scotland, or just rugby in general, what would you change about rugby to make it better?
Better for who? Because if it's better for anyone, I'd probably extend the half time from 10 minutes to like 20. Because 10 minutes is not long enough to get your breath back and then get back out there.
How do you think us referees feel? You've got to go in and somebody make us a cup of tea and that, and sit there and chat about how the players are off their feet all the time, and you have a lot to do in 10 minutes. It just doesn't work. I think you're right, Muzz. I think you're right.
Jamie, do you have anything?
I guess just getting more people playing the game. Like we're obviously all converted and have a massive love for the game, and I think there's a ton of people out there who don't necessarily know a huge amount about the game, but once they watch it, once they play it, they're hooked. So yeah, I guess the more people playing the game, the better.
Yeah, and then Jamie, so what does the future hold for you? Do you plan on making a comeback to rugby, or do you reckon it will be triathlon for?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Gary's in touch and distance.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. I think Zangary's more likely than playing senior rugby. If I'm honest,
Make a guest appearance.
Nah, I would like to come back down to the club and get the boots up, whether it's for the Zangari or just playing a bit of tartan touch if that kicks off and stuff. A lot of good mates down there, and obviously still got a massive passion for the game. So I think that would certainly what the future holds, and just continue with the triathlons and stuff as well for as long as I can. Yeah,
so that's great. Thank you very much to both of you for your time. It's much appreciated.
Guys, brilliant, great answers. I really enjoyed that.
Thanks for having us on.
Always, guys. Thanks for having us.
Cheers.